Okay, so the purpose of this presentation is to try to give you step-by-step directions. So this is step 1. This is already completed. In this step, you took the number of right answers and put them in this chart, color-coding what the right answers were. These are the birth dates that you would have put in, and then I asked you to color code. At the top is the class identifier, and that would be teacher and school. Okay. Now, the ones that we hadn't done as of Friday were the times. So you need one of these for 10 to 11, one of these for 11 to 12, and one of these for 12 to 1. And then you will only be filling in this side of the chart, the post-test. 10 to 11 will have one of these, 11 to 12 will have one of these, and 12 to 1 will have one of these. That's step 1. In step 2, what I asked you to do is to take that information and get it into these squares. So what you will have at the top, for example, would be time 1, and you would, in time 1, 10 to 11, you would have the post-test only, the number right and the number wrong for question 1. Then you would have question 2, post-test only, right and wrong, number 3, and then remember you have total knowledge and attitude. So we had already worked on the teachers and the schools, and then you would have to add 3 more sheets, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and 12 to 1. That is step 2. Then what you have to do gets a little more complicated, and that is attempting to get this information from here into here. So let's say that this is 10 to 11, and let's say that I have information in there already. So if this is 10 to 11, then you would make this time 10 to 11, and you would put in the number right and wrong for the post-test, the number right, the number wrong. Then time 2 would be 11 to 12. And you would put the number right and the number wrong on the post-test. And then when you do this, let's say that 10 to 11 had 5 right and 15 wrong, and 11 to 12 had 10 right and 12 wrong. That tells us the chi-square, which is this is what we have as the probability that the difference in these two groups is caused by us. So this, I'm sorry, not probability, but likelihood. And we're 99% sure that question 1 for this group was caused by something that happened at the health fair. So then this is your second times. In this group, you would put 10 to 11. Sorry about that. I thought I could do that. And this would be 12 to 1. You would then put the 10 to 11, 5, and 15. And then over here, you would put the number right on for the 12 to 1 group, and let's say it was 2 and 10. And then this number should change, and it did not, so we know that that's what, when this happens, when this number does not change, when you change these numbers, like I put 100 here, okay, that did change. Okay. If you don't see this number changing a lot, then it means there's something wrong. But I just put in 10 to 11 and 12 to 1, so now I'm looking at the chi-square for 10 to 11 and 12 to 1, and what it's saying is we're 89% likely to have caused these differences. And then for question 1, you would have 11 to 12. That's not going to work. And 12 to 1. and you would put those numbers in. You will have only the post, right, and wrong. So that gives you question 1 for all 3 time periods. You then would come down to question 2. You put the same time periods in as above. You can fill those in. Change all the numbers. Then you have question 3. Then you have total knowledge and attitude. And that gets you through the times. Next we have Golden Ring Middle School. And what I asked you to do here was to look at 2 different teachers. So here we have teacher 1, teacher 2 for question 1, the same teachers for question 2, the same 2 teachers for question 3, total knowledge and attitude. Then you're going to do another 2 teachers, or you might have 1 teacher's the same and 1 teacher's different. And you're going to fill in the same columns, how many people got it right in this teacher's class, and how many people got it right in this teacher's class. How many people got it wrong, how many people got it wrong, and it will give you a chi-square. You'll do the exact same procedure for Overly High School, looking at 2 teachers, question 1, 2, 3, total knowledge and attitude, and then with a different combination of teachers down here. Then I asked you to do the schools. I want you to take all of Golden Ring Middle Schools, how many correct answers for number 1, and all of Overly High School, all the correct answers of 1, and then the wrong answers. Then we have question 2 for total, Golden Ring and Overly. Question 3, totals, Golden Ring and Overly, and then a total knowledge and a knowledge attitude. Then Overly High School, both matched and all are in one place. So if you think about it, these are the scores where we had the pre and post test of both the same people. So for the matched one, I'm asking you to put in the pre and post test. So these numbers will be very low. Let's say you have 6 that match. So on the pre-test, 2 got it right, 4 got it wrong, and on the post-test, 5 got it right, and 1 got it wrong. That tells us the likelihood that this happened because of us. Just making sure it's working. Okay, and you will do that for match question 1, question 2, and question 3, all knowledge and attitude. Then what I'm going to ask you to do is to put all of Overly High School together. So this means in the pre-test, we're going to have close to 200. So let's say that Overly High School, on the pre-test, let's say 150, no, I won't do that. Let's say 75 got it right, and 125 got it wrong. And on the post-test, you have a very small number. We'll say you have 10. Let's say 7 got it right and 3 got it wrong. So that tells us that we're more than 99% likely that you made this change happen. So you're going to be looking at that 1, 2, 3, all knowledge and all knowledge and attitude. Okay. So that's what you're going to be doing. When you have all those chi-square scores, what I asked you to do was put it into a summary sheet. And your summary sheet in your class is different than that. So here's the chi-square charts, here's the summary sheet. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your chi-square scores in here. If you can tell if they're going in the right direction, or that would be green. If there's normal, they stay the same. That's yellow. And if the scores get worse from pre to post test, or what we're looking at, and then it would be red. So in here, you're going to take the information from your chi-square charts. And let's say this were the right data. For question 1, 10 to 11, and 11 to 12 comparison, we have 0.992, sorry. Oops. 0.992. And for question 2, remember this is just pretend stuff. So for question 2, we did it this way. Question 1, 10 to 11, and 12 to 1. Let me pull that back up on the sheet. So if this were your 10 to 11 to 12 to 1, we see that it's 0.891. And for the 11 to 12 and 12 to 1 question 1, we're taking that chi-square, which is 0.725. So you're going to be taking your chi-square numbers here and putting them in this chart. So this is very tedious. It requires a lot of attention to detail, but the computer is going to do all of the statistical analysis for you. We just need to then interpret the data. Hopefully this has helped you go step by step. Just to review, step 1 was putting in the sheet with the color squares of what's right and wrong. Step 2 was the Word document where you filled in the little squares, they're called punch-in squares, of right and wrong, either pre-test only or post-test only. And then step 3 was using the chi-square chart. And what you're doing at this point is you're taking the information from step 2 and you're putting it into these squares. If you're not sure which ones you're supposed to be doing, I put this in the announcement. So for example, you need to do 10 to 11 and 11 to 12. You need to do 10 to 11 and 12 to 1. And you need to do 11 to 12 and 12 to 1. For Golden Ring Middle School, you're going to take the data from your different teachers that you have in here, and you're going to put that's which one you're doing. Then you have Overly High School teachers. That would be that one, same process. You're going to take the information from step 2 and put in this chart. And then you have all of Golden Ring Middle compared to all of Overly. And then you have the Overly pre and post test, which will show us how likely it is that you made a difference in the people's knowledge and attitudes. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I will check my email on Sunday night. I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing your questions and talking to you next week.